Kyoko, it's
Welcome,
wonderful to see
welcome.
you.
Hi, Keith. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Good. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Thanks for everyone else. If you want, you can certainly turn your video cameras on if you want to show your
Sure
face and say
hard. Great to
hi.
see you as well, sir.
Hey, hello, Gerhard.
Yes. Got some
You
people
are
I
muted. You're
recognize
welcome to
here.
Good to
unmute
see
and
you
say
guys.
hello. Yeah, you too. Thank you for joining us. It's always nice to not be alone. I've done a
The
few
echo
of
chamber,
those,
right?
right? Yeah. I'm talking to myself.
All the
Great.
way from Japan.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, love it here. It's a little early, but we're doing all right. Well, great to have you all here, and I think we're gonna go ahead and get rocking and rolling. Some of you are with us at REI Automated. I see you, John. Sweet, welcome, sir. And others are
Hey, John.
still kicking the tires. That's okay. We expect that, and we expect that we need to earn your trust, and part of that is sharing openly and honestly what we know about real estate investing with you, and doing what we can to help you succeed. And there are lots of challenges with that. So at REI Automated, we don't just sit still. We're definitely moving and looking at ways that we can improve what we offer and help you succeed as real estate investors, whether that's with our tools or our support or just the knowledge that we're providing. And this is part of that as well. So you're very much welcome to be here, and we're learning as well at the same time, to be honest.
Always.
There's never stop learning. That's the motto. And there's always something new to learn, a new service, a new feature, a new way of getting in touch with motivated seller leads. There's no perfect systems, so it's good to keep that in mind and manage our expectations. And I think the pay per lead services are an interesting concept, and it makes a lot of sense, depending on where you are, but we're going to get into that. So I just wanted to kind of preface the beginning of our live like that, and welcome you all in. And Keith is with us. He's the CEO of REI Automated. And my name is Ryan, and I host these, also working at REI Automated, doing all kinds of things, um, and mostly marketing, but other stuff as well. So let's get into it. Pay per lead. Are these fresh, hot, motivated seller leads? What do you guys think?
Has anybody
Keith?
used paper lead
Yeah.
here? Any
Yeah, if you
sort
could
of paper
raise your
lead?
hand. Yep, raise your hand in the do you
Cool.
guys know how to do Zoom reactions? You can do that hand raising thing, or if you're in the chat, you can just show me a
You know, we
PPL, type PPL if you've
there we
used
go.
PPL
Good
before.
deal. We had a
There,
lady.
Gerhard, okay.
I wanna give her a shout out. Her name's Lily. She's one of our clients. She is 84 years old. God bless her soul. I love this woman to death. She's a great friend from Hawaii, and she didn't know how to use Zoom very well, as you can imagine, and all these reactions and raising her hand and stuff like that. So you know what she did? She printed out two skin colored pieces of paper. She traced her hand, or she either traced her hand or she printed out two hands, and she cut it out. She pasted it on a popsicle stick, and she raised her hand like this in Zoom one day. And you know, I said, this woman, she was fourth in line, right? We had three people's hands up in front of her. I just had to pause, acknowledge the adapt and overcome the tenacity, you know, of like, I can't imagine how frustrated she must have been prior to that. How are these people raising their hand? She didn't want to have to hold her hand up or anything. So she just got her little card and she was holding it up here. So she doesn't have to sit like this. I said, I'm there. There's no way. I'm not some heartless soul. I'm not going to make her hold this thing up until it's her turn. So I said, y'all, Lily gets to skip everybody here. We're going to answer her question first, and then we're going to go to you guys. So if you don't know how to raise your hand, that's totally okay. We'll work through it. Anyway, hey,
Yep.
thanks, Gerhard, for raising your hand. So I want to go into. I'm actually really glad that many people here haven't done PPL. And the reason for that is because I personally have gotten sort of kind of a bad rap for pushing just PPC. So much so, you know, people, we have 2 clients here. Thanks for being here, sweets. That's sweet of you to be here. Everybody knows I'm kind of like the face of REI Automated, right? And so I've been really pushing this stuff for 3 years now. And, you know, I'll go to I'm leaving for a mastermind next week, and I'll go and I'll present on stage. And what do I talk about? I talk about PPC. Why? Because that's what I personally do right now.
And if you don't know what PPC is, then that's pay per click.
Pay per click.
Through services like Google Ads, where you pay for each click.
1 week ago, we talked about pay per click, right?
Yeah.
Or was it 2 weeks ago? Okay.
2 weeks. We did sweat marketing last week.
Okay, sweat marketing. There's 3 different types of marketing. It can kind of all be lumped into 3 different types, and arguably 2, but then we separate. Okay, so sweat marketing is you're going out there, you have way more time than you have money. Sweat marketing is for you. This is door knocking. This is driving for dollars. This is putting out bandit signs, cold calling, maybe even direct mail, that sort of stuff. Then PPL is pay per lead. And then you have PPC, which is pay per click. And over here is I have a lot of time and very little money. And over here is I have a lot of money, but very little time. And, you know, so I get up on stage and I'm talking about all the deals that we're doing and everything. And people will ask me about my marketing. And since 2020, I have unapologetically told everybody, hey, I'm exclusive PPC. I love PPC. Why? Frankly, it's because I'm lazy and I'm spoiled. I only have to talk to like 12 leads, or, you know, our team only has to talk to like 12 or 15 leads. Some months we only have to talk to 8. We'll average 1 in 8. So we talk to very few people before we get a contract. Whereas over here on the other extreme, sometimes we're talking to 40, 80, 100 sellers before we get somebody who's under contract. Is this necessarily bad? Like inherently? Absolutely not. So I'm trying to redeem myself is what I'm trying. This is a long way of saying I've been talking for the last, what year is it? For the last 3.5 years, really, at all these masterminds and on stage, and I'm plenty of videos are out there on YouTube or social media of me preaching PPC, because people will ask me, what do I do and what am I currently doing? But what they fail to ask me is what have I done and what still works? And so that's really kind of our intent the last several weeks. And the reason why we had a 2-hour training on sweat marketing that we did, I forget how many weeks ago, 2 weeks ago or so, or 1 week ago, on sweat marketing, and really diving into that. We did one on PPC. And then this week we're talking about pay per lead, because when somebody asks me, well, what's the best way of marketing? Is there ever a correct answer? Yeah, the correct answer is it depends. But there is no correct answer, because everybody is different. Everybody has more time or more money, and things are always flowing differently. And so I want to explain that just because I preach PPC, it doesn't mean that PPC is right for you. And it also doesn't mean that PPL or sweat marketing is wrong for you. I want to go on record saying that. Okay. Ryan, what do you want to get into, man? Well, that was my intro. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I guess, like, what is pay per lead and how does it work? What exactly are these services doing for real estate investors?
I think I think
most of you guys know, but I think there's some nuance maybe that we need to consider what they're doing and how they're doing it to get you those motivated seller leads, so that we understand why they're doing, like, what's their motivation behind it, and how does that affect you as you interact with the service. Cool. So
I'm gonna go super high level, and then I'm gonna get into the 3 different types of PPL. Let me write this down so that I don't forget what we're going into. Inbound, outbound, manual, and hybrid. Okay, so on a generic level, PPL is very similar to PPC most of the time, meaning people are running ads, typically on Google. They're going to a website, they're filling out a form, just like PPC. The biggest difference between PPL and PPC is you don't have a PPC manager. It's going to one person's landing page, somebody who's running typically hundreds of thousands, I would venture to say even encroaching on millions of dollars, depending on the PPC, the PPL provider, millions of dollars per month nationwide. They're running ads. They're, what's it called when you collect everything in one spot? They're congregating their
Centralizing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a centralized database. So everybody fills out the form. It comes into a centralized database where they have all of their clients. So I actually do a little bit of PPL, and I go with Need to Sell My House Fast. So I'm one of their clients, and with Need to Sell My House Fast, I'm in 43 metros that I really, really, really like. If I just had to pick 43, it'd be these 43. And if I get a lead, I should say, if they get a lead that fits my parameters, but it also fits other people's parameters, then it goes to auction. Who's willing to pay the most? Just like Google. Google is an option, pay-per-click. Everybody is auctioning for that click. The difference is here, it's now a lead. It's not a click, it's a guaranteed lead. Somebody's gonna get it. And so I typically bid the minimum bid, which is $75. So I wait for all these other pricks that I'm competing against to max out their budget, and then I sneak in with the lowest bid. Everybody else is bidding, $250, $350 for one of these leads. I don't do that. I just do 75, and I get leads very sporadically. It's really not that much, but they're a steal of a deal when they are. Matter of fact, the property that we put under contract just yesterday was PPL from Need to Sell My House Fast. If you want to go to my Facebook right now, I just posted it. I posted it probably an hour ago. Sweet killer deal in Texas.
Can you pause? And Rochelle has a question. I think it's good. We should answer it
Yeah.
now. I said, you said the leads were guaranteed. How do they make sure they are actually sellers?
Oh, that's such a great question. So there's three different levels. There's three different levels that PPL providers will guarantee / verify the validity of the lead.
Typically, we can't guarantee all PPL providers are going to do this, but
yeah, absolutely. So at the very least, let's go at the very, very highest. Some PPL providers, they'll call the lead for you. The lead comes in, it goes to a call center like Pat Live or something like that. They'll make sure, hey, is this Miss Rochelle Sweet? Yes, it is. And you own the property at 123 Main Street? Yes, I do. And you are interested in selling it? Yes, I am. All right, wonderful. We're going to have one of our representatives get in touch with you later today or tomorrow. Is there the best time to reach you? Okay, and is this the best phone number? They're just really sweet and cordial, and they just gather some really basic information. They don't go into motivation. They don't go into condition. They don't go into time frame. They don't go into any of the typical stuff that we're going to do on a triage call. They're just verifying the information. Now, the companies that do this, you are going to pay up the wazoo for that lead. We're talking, I don't know, there's a couple of companies that do this, and the cheapest that you can get one of those leads is $285. Most of the time, you're going to be bidding $350, $385, $400, $450. It is insanely expensive. Speed to lead is fast, and you all know that I preach speed to lead, but that speed to lead is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about speed to lead to the triage call, not really verifying the information. So the next level, another company that we're trying out right now, it's called LeadZolo. LeadZolo is one level down. They don't have anybody call and reach out, but they're the only people that I know in the industry right now that's doing this. It's really cool. They actually send them a two-factor authentication code. So the lead will submit their form. It'll come back and it'll say, please upload, we just sent you a text. Please put in the code to verify that this is the correct contact information. I really like this. They're more expensive, by the way. LeadZolo is going to be $175 if you are doing nationwide campaigns, and I'm going to recommend against that because it truly is a nationwide campaign. You are going to get what's the right term for this? Trying to keep it a little more PG than usual. Podunk, middle of nowhere. You're going to get these things that are just way out in the boonies.
Rural.
Right. Thank
Very
you. You're
rural.
very
I love
professional.
rural.
We're talking the ruralest of rural properties, though. So I really don't recommend spending $175 for an extremely rural lead. Instead, in my opinion, it's better to pay the $200 and be able to choose the counties. That's how LeadZolo is going to work. You're going to choose the counties. It's only $25 per lead more. In my opinion, well worth it. Now, okay, so to be clear, top level, the agency calls, verifies first name, last name, phone, email, subject, property, address, and desire to sell. The next level after that is going to be two-factor authentication. That's what LeadZolo does. The last level, like the least level of verification, is simply a guarantee. Meaning, if you call this, if Franz calls the lead, and the lead is a wholesaler, the lead is a realtor, the lead didn't submit a form, the lead has their house listed on the MLS already. There's a couple of other things, like there's a bad phone number. The phone number doesn't work. It goes, we're sorry, this phone number has been disconnected or is no longer in service. Anything like that, you can actually submit a dispute and get your money back, typically within like 2 days. So that's the least level of verification, but you do not end up paying. And I have plenty of those. If I were to pull up my need to sell my house fast, we've probably disputed, I don't know, 8 or so of our leads. And 100% of the time so far for us, I'll actually bring that up to show later on. Well, why not? If I can log in fast enough here, let's see if I can remember my password. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah,
there we go.
You got it?
Yep, I got it. So here's some leads that I have come in. You'll notice if it is green, that means that I have a granted dispute, which is one of those things that I said earlier. The phone number was bad. It was listed. It was a wholesaler, something like this.
Don't contact Keith's leads, guys.
Yeah, they can't. There's not enough information here.
Okay.
But I get my money back, and I really like this. And I would rather pay less. Need to sell my house fast is $75 is the lowest bid. I'd rather pay less because our speed to lead corporate wide is like 3-point-something minutes. It's 3.5, 3.8, something like that. We're super, super fast. Our speed to lead is incredible. And I would rather do that than pay somebody else, $350 per lead. We got a lot of leads coming in. I don't want to be paying $350 a lead. That'd break my bank. Rochelle, did that fully answer your question? Wonderful. Okay. So let me go back to the topic right before this, where I was talking about, oh, I have a bad echo. All right, it's back, or it's gone. Talking about the different types of PPL. The biggest reason why you are going to go with PPL is because you have a middle-ish budget. And I would kind of define that as like $1,000 to $2,500 per month. And the reason why I would sort of draw a fuzzy line around 2,500 plus or minus a couple $100 is because your cost per lead on PPL. Let's see if I can share my screen here. Great. Let's draw a little bit. So PPL.
You're getting into the gap. Oh no.
Yeah.
Isn't there a text tool?
Hey, you know what? It's faster this way. You got PPL on the left and PPC on the right. Now, by the way, if you can't really see what I'm doing, I'm on a 4K monitor right now. It's a real big one. It's like a dang TV in front of me. You're just going to need to pinch out or zoom out a little bit so you can see everything that I'm.
There are some the zoom tools are in the bottom right, so you can press out if you need to.
I'm seeing a ton of people come in. Wonderful.
Grab and pan. Yeah.
Now just don't be drawing all over my stuff. Okay. You can keep your things there. Just don't be clicking. Now on the left-hand side, I'm going to draw cost per lead. So we got a lot of PLs here. Now to be clear, PPL is pay per lead. And then we have PPC, pay per click. The CPL on the left in blue, that's your cost per lead. My cost per lead for PPL is going to be $75. My cost per lead for PPC, let's see what my actual cost was last month, $43. Let's just call it 45 for easy math. So if my budget is
Way down there,
$2,500,
guys.
is $2,500. Let's just be mindful of this. If I share my, I want to share my calculator, but I'm not going to be able to share my calculator while I'm also simultaneously sharing my screen. Hey, if you're watching right here, just bust out your calculator on your phone. I'll walk you through it step by step. We're just going to take 2,000 divided by 75 equals 26 leads. So if I have a budget of $2,500, the amount of leads that I'm going to get, we're going to put leads in green, leads is going to be 26. We're going to round this up to 27, right? It's 26.66. Oops, I said I was going to round it up. Okay, I lied. We're going to round it down because you can't get 2/3 of a lead. You're going to get 26 leads if you're paying $75 per lead and you have a budget of $2,500. However, if you have $2,000 and you're going the PPC route, typically an ad manager is going to cost about $1,000. So before we divide by the $45 cost per lead, we're going to take our $2,500. Oh, shucks, I screwed up, y'all. I said 2,000, but in the bottom left, I forgot that I had said 2,500. So let's go back here. My apologies. We're going to redo this number. What is it actually? 2,500 divided by $75 is 33 leads. Now we're going to go to PPC. If you start off with a budget of $2,500, your PPC manager is typically going to cost about $1,000. Some will only charge you $800. Some will charge you $1,200. From what I found, I've had 7 of them. They're typically going to charge you about $1,000. So we take the $2,500, subtract the $1,000 for a PPC manager. This leaves you with $1,500 divided by a cost per lead of 45. No kidding. It's the same exact number. That's so funny. It's 33 leads. So which one's better? If you have $2,500, your cost per lead with PPL is 75, but there is no PPC manager. You're just spending a little bit more cost per lead. Whereas with PPC, you're still spending $2,500. You're shelling out $1,000 for somebody to manage the campaigns, but your cost per lead is less. You're at the end result. The end result is net zero. Is there one that's better? Any thoughts? I'll give you the answer here. It depends on what you want. There's a pro to go with either one of them. If you go the PPC route, you have somebody who is managing your account actively, at least at a very bare minimum, once a week, if not every day, that you can submit feedback to. Hey, Kevin, I hated this lead. Don't send me people that are like this. This is like an undesirable lead. Hey, this is a super qualified lead. Please find me more people like this. You can shove that data back into Google, refine your ads, cut away the fluff, the underperforming campaigns, reallocate that budget to the campaigns that are giving you the lead and the lead quality that you enjoy. And guess what will happen? Your cost per lead will actually go down over time. Your lead quality will go up over time because you have somebody actively managing the account. With PPL, you don't have this control. There's nobody looking over your account. Nobody cares what you like or don't like. Your lead quality and your lead quantity will remain constant through time. But there is one pro with PPL over PPC. And that is if you have a restraint of time. Meaning, for instance, when I was active duty in the Marine Corps, I only had about an hour to make phone calls during my lunch break. So it'd actually be bad if I had leads that came in just after my lunch break, because I'm not going to be able to call them for 23 hours, all the way around the clock, 22 hours, 21 hours, right? A whole day is going to go by before I'm able to call them the following day at lunch. With PPC, you don't have control over when the leads come in. With PPL, it's like a spigot. You say, I want leads and I want them right now. Toggle your campaign on and leads will drop in every couple of seconds or every couple of minutes, depending on how you're throttling it. So that's the pro of having PPL. And then the PPC pro is that the leads are going to get better over time. Any questions on those two things before I move on into the different types of PPL? There's 3 main types of PPL, but we won't move on if anybody has any questions about what I had just mentioned. This is the reason why I say $1,000 to $2,500. The moment you have more than $2,500, if you were to rerun these numbers with $3,000 as your budget or $3,500 as your budget, PPC is going to win 100% of the time. Why? Because your cost per lead, you're getting way more leads and they're way cheaper. Rochelle, look like you're about to have a question.
I do.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So in the beginning, obviously we're running PPC. Is there any benefit to splitting your budget and putting some in PPL and some in PPC while it's learning? Because we're finding our cost per lead is higher at the moment for this.
Yeah.
We're just going into, we're in month 2. And we've kind of like been optimized for clicks in the beginning. Now we're optimized for conversion. So as it's like changing through these cycles and learning, is there some, benefit to putting PPL on, just because right now for us, the PPC cost is still pretty high?
Yeah, I think that I do have a relatively insuccinct answer to your question. I am rather emotional, like as a person, as a human, as a man, whatever. I know that I'm fairly emotional. I have big energy. And so when something doesn't go my way, i.e., Google Ads, my Google Ads account gets shut down, I absolutely flip my lid. And in the beginning, that happened to me twice. And so that had me scared. But then even more so, I now have 5 team members in Crown Properties that them and their family depend on me and my stability for them to live. I don't take that lightly at all. And so I safeguard myself, but more so I safeguard them by dispersing. So I run 2 PPC managers and PPL simultaneously right now. That's the reason. Now, that's what I am doing. And once again, here's my disclaimer: just because I'm doing it does not mean it's right. And it certainly doesn't think that I think that it's right. There's no right or wrong. There's right or left. And what's right for me may not be right for you. That's totally fine. I would tell, and I have, and I do tell other people, like, dude, it's stupid to pay for 2 PPC managers if your budget is $2,000 starting off. Why? If you have $2,000 starting off and each PPC manager charges you $1,000, you're not running ads. There's no point. There's no money going to Google. At that point, go PPL. But if you have a lot of money and you want super stability, yeah, it does make sense to diversify. Having 2 PPC managers is a little bit like aggressive. Like, it's meaning like I'm being too conservative. Honestly, I know that I'm wasting money, but I will also tell you, I've been running one for 3 years and 7 months, and I've been running another one for 4 years this month. I have yet to have a single bad month running 2 PPC managers simultaneously. I have never had one. My numbers are more consistent than anybody else I know in the industry, and I spend far less than they do on ads.
Yeah, so the time to get there, I think, is the issue, right? Because like what's the advantage of the PPL company? Well, they have Google ad accounts that they've been running for maybe years. They have tons of ad spend going into this. They're refining their campaigns. So you're paying for that, and you pay for that in the gap cost of what it costs them to get the lead versus how much you pay for the lead. And in some cases that could be $50 or 100 or 200 or more. I mean, if you look at Keith's numbers, he's been running it for 3 years by himself with a smaller ad budget. He's one real estate investor. They've got hundreds or
Oh my
thousands of
gosh,
real
yeah.
estate investors using the service, and they're capitalizing on that gap. So, and you're always going to pay consistently more, and then they can continue to refine. The problem is that you will always pay more than you should long
Yep.
term.
Yep.
So what's the benefit of PPC versus PPL? Well, in the beginning, PPC will probably feel more expensive, and you might be
Absolutely.
paying more for lead per lead and everything. But over time, as that comes down, you're going to end up spending a lot less to find leads than you will with PPL. And you'll typically be, you'll get to them first, for instance. It won't be an old list. Hey, someone's already had a crack at these leads. We'll sell them to you for cheap, you know.
You're talking about PPC, right?
I'm talking about, yeah, PPC versus
Yeah.
PPL, right?
Yeah. That's one of the things that I want to talk about in a little bit is exclusivity.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
But what you're saying, Ryan, is in the beginning, because I don't have the advantage of running a PPC campaign for 4 years. So
Yeah. Your account. So here's how I would give it to you. You guys have kids, right?
No.
No. Okay. But you've seen a kid before. As
Of
long
course.
as you've seen a kid before, then you'll understand. So I want you to think about your campaign like a child. One week equals 1 year. Okay. 1 week for PPC. If you tell a 1-year-old to do something, are they helpful? No. 2 weeks, 2 years old. No, it's not really until like you start getting a little bit of traction when they're like 4, right? By the time they're 6, it's like, hey, prior to this call, I asked my daughter, hey, can you fill this up with some ice and water for me? Yeah, absolutely. She's super helpful, right? And
my son would not do that. He'd be like, no, Dad, do it yourself.
So 1 week equals 1 year in human terms. So I just want you to think about it this way. You're going to be feeding this information and you're investing into your child, just like you're investing into your PPC campaign. But once that thing has been running for you, and I think that, obviously this isn't linear. Mine would be like 480 years old by this time, right? It's dead. But like my PPC camp, both of them are so refined. They are so good. I'm like, I almost can't leave my PPC manager.
Right. So what I'm saying though is, if in the beginning, is it best so let's just say you've got $3,000 beyond the ad manager. Is it better to like say put 2,000 in PPC while you're investing in that to grow up, and then 1,000 in pay per lead? Or is it just better to put all of it there and just
there's so many variables on honestly, I think that the biggest variable, if I were to like think through, there's probably 6 or 7 variables. There's one huge variable. What is what does it mean? 1 day versus 3 days in length versus 5 days in length. What is this called? It depends on the frequency. It depends on the frequency that you are updating your campaign. So if you're updating your like some people don't provide any information to their PPC manager. I can guarantee 100% of those people are going to fail. 100% of them. You cannot live by doing that. Other people, they'll have like bi-weekly meetings with their PPC manager. This is not enough. Some people will do weekly. I'm at weekly. But in the beginning, dude, that needs to be like darn near daily, maybe every other day. Sometimes, oh my gosh, in the beginning.
If it's me, it's like every hour.
Bro, like I'm not even messing. In the beginning, it was every lead. Like, this is a crappy lead. How could this even get through my landing page? Are you kidding me? Take off whatever keyword they clicked on. I never want to see anything like this before again. So
Right.
yeah, that's great. That's great. If the frequency is short, then I think that putting your money into PPC is going to make sense for the numbers. Now, I'll raise my hand and I'll say, I don't do things according to the numbers. Thinking about owner financing, some now, some later. I admitted on office hours either this week or last week, I don't like tails. I don't like a lump sum in the future of $50,000. But the numbers say if we were to look at the future value of money versus the present value of money, that's the better decision than making monthly payments of $400 per month until paid. It's just scary to me because I don't know where I'm going to be in 4 years. Should I be able to pay that $40,000? Yes. But life is not guaranteed, and I certainly don't want to screw that person over in 4 years. And so I'll make the emotional decision to do what's better for my, level emotional state. So if you want diversification and safety is important to you, going back to as if we've already talked about this. If you ever take Tony Robbins' six human needs, one of them is certainty. So certainty equals safety. If you have a high need for certainty, then you should probably diversify, even if it doesn't make quite as much sense. But I will tell you, if the frequency of your feeding information back into Google and optimizing your account is short, this is really, really, really beneficial because it's not money put into ad spend that makes the difference. And it's not time waiting, running ads. It is both of them, but what do both of them equal? It equals data. That's all Google is. It's a huge data mining machine, right? It's machine learning, and it needs data. So it's not necessarily money, and it's not necessarily time. It is the volume of both. And so if you're providing a ton of data at a fast frequency, that's going to give you the best results per the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. So it helps it learn faster. And then as you have an experienced PPC manager overseeing that and optimizing, there's actually two kinds of keywords. There's the keywords that you want people to click, and there's the negative ones where you don't want those to show up. And if they're in the search query, you actually kind of just like, oh, nope, we don't want that one. So all of that and many other ways of handling those keywords and all that stuff, the campaigns, ad sets, ads, which is quite complex, becomes a real, as Keith explained, asset for any business. However, I think PPL does make sense, as you said, Keith, because you don't necessarily, want to rely on one channel of marketing. And I think I said this last week with sweat marketing and the week before it with PPC marketing. If you only have one thing, you are in a dangerous situation in your business. And that's true for every business.
And I will say, to the other extreme, I will not name names. Potentially some people know who I'm about to call out without naming names, but you don't need freaking 18 lead sources either to be successful in business, right? Just because one isn't the best thing, picking 1,000 different things is not helpful either. You're, think about, by definition, one of them is going to be the best, one of them is going to be the second best, and it's all a bell curve. Some things are going to perform less. And so the more you add, the less effective your marketing is. Right. I would recommend having one or two out the gate. Okay.
Yeah, one or two. Yep. Definitely.
I want to push the agenda here a little bit when it comes to there's largely three different types of PPL. The most popular is going to be exclusive Google ads. So exactly how I explained it earlier, the PPL provider is running Google ads, typically nationwide in the largest cities. Sometimes they're even just blanketing the United States. They're putting everything into an auction site. They're doing the auction amongst their clients and dispersing the leads that way. The next one, so this is just, we call this 100% intent-based. They are intent-focused. They have a very high intent. Then you get into a blend, a hybrid, when it comes to intent versus manual or outbound intent. The hybrid would be somebody who's on YouTube, for example. So LeadZolo does this. LeadZolo will have a blend of Google ads, and it's mostly Google and YouTube ads. So somebody will type in, divorce attorneys, South Carolina, or whatever. And LeadZolo will run an ad for 5 seconds. Y'all have seen it on YouTube, right? It runs for 5 seconds before you can click skip. Now, obviously, if it's not high intent based and that person doesn't like what they hear in the first 5 seconds of the ad, then they're going to click skip. We want this, right? Because if they're not high intent based and they really don't give a crap about the ad, we want them to click skip and go watch their video on divorce attorneys in South Carolina. But if they like what they hear in the ad, we're already targeting, we as in the PPL provider, is already targeting something that's like potentially a really big motivating factor where somebody would want to sell a house, i.e. divorce. And then we're running an ad talking about selling their house. They were high enough intent based that they clicked on the ad rather than clicking the video. This is not going to be as good as Google. Here's the reason why. You have people who are problem oriented, or you have, is there a term for this, Brian? I want to go into problem and solution oriented people.
Right. Yeah. Those are the terms.
Okay,
Problem
great.
aware, solution aware.
Thank you. Aware. So
and in marketing, if someone's problem aware, oh, you want to explain?
Yeah. So they were
Okay.
problem aware watching that YouTube video. They said, I live in South Carolina and I'm going through a divorce and I need to find a good attorney. So I know the problem, but are they actively seeking a solution to selling their house? The answer to that is no. Whereas somebody who types in how to sell my house fast while going through a divorce in South Carolina, that is somebody who is solution aware and therefore inherently higher intent based. So does that make sense when it comes to solution aware versus problem aware? So that's the biggest difference between, that is the craziest video.
Yep, we're removing him.
Yep, thanks. That's the biggest difference between PPL that's Google versus PPL that's going to be a hybrid. So like I mentioned, LeadZolo does largely three things: Google ads, YouTube ads, and Facebook ads. Now, we'll get into, and again, I'm not going to throw companies under the bus. I just want you to listen and learn what I'm about to say. Then you're going to go do your research. Then you're going to find out who I'm talking about here. There's a ton of companies that will do outbound manual web scraping, i.e., somebody posts a house on Craigslist and you have these data miners in, and I'm not racist here, okay? I'm just geographically profiling people. You have data miners in India and the Philippines and whatever, like by the hundreds that are scraping every Facebook site known to man. Backpage, Craigslist, Zillow for sale by owner, Bigger Pockets, Connected Investors, Investor Lift, right? They're scraping all of this stuff. They're not even freaking leads that have actually submitted a form. They will confirm the information. And then they submit it into a database and they auctioned it off. So this is manual. It is not inbound. It's barely outbound. And I have to give it to the man who created this. I mean, it works and he makes it a lot of money, but you will get the lowest quality leads from any PPL provider by going with this manual outbound approach. The last thing that I want to talk about is exclusivity. Several. I was about to say a lot of providers. I don't really think that it's a lot. It's probably like three PPL providers that I know of will add a surcharge. They will upcharge for exclusivity rights, meaning once they sell it to you, they will not sell the data to somebody else. So we like this, right? We want to cut out our competition from the beginning. However, that exclusivity sometimes is like an extra $100 per lead. Or you can buy what they call limited exclusivity, where it's exclusive to me for the next 24 hours or the next 48 hours. And so you can buy that for an extra $55, let's say, per lead. That's another thing to be mindful of. I'm really not a fan of this. I like it when a PPL provider will promise me exclusivity from the beginning, and that's just how they operate. I resonate with that way of doing business. All right. That's all I had planned on talking about when it comes to those three things and how to kind of educate yourself or lump people into those categories.
So then, Keith, need to sell my house fast. Are they exclusive leads when you pay?
Yes,
They
those
are.
are
Okay.
those are exclusive leads, and
All right.
so is LeadZolo.
Okay. Okay. So when you're paying 75, that you're the only one.
That's
Can
correct.
you talk about your personal experience with each of those that we shared? Just your personal.
Yeah, I have nothing to say about LeadZolo because I'm new to it, and well, it's not my personal. The reason why I'm trying LeadZolo is because I heard several other investors have success in it pretty quickly. I also did a little bit of research on the media buyer who started LeadZolo, and I like how he operates. He's very similar to actually one of my friends, who's a huge media buyer in the United States. I like that they took a very unique approach to adding that two-factor authentication. Again, that's not something that anybody else that I know of has done.
Yeah,
There's
really like that
no
idea.
other way to absolutely confirm that this is their phone number. Because here's the thing, you can add what we call, Ryan, what is it that we have on our website? Like phone number validity check or something like that?
Yeah, we do check if the phone number is valid.
So it's a validity check,
yep.
meaning you, as long as you put in a valid phone number, it'll go through. But is it your phone number? There's 10 trillion phone numbers out there. You know, as long that's not great if it's valid. I mean, it's better than 111111111.
Yep.
But it's not that person's 100%. They verified it with a two-factor authentication code. So I really like that. But when it comes to like getting a deal, I haven't got a deal from it. We just started. Need to sell my house fast. I have been with since I've been with it for more than a year. And gosh, I can't tell you how many leads I have. A lot of leads, a lot of deals, a lot of money. We've done quite well with Need to Sell My House Fast. I have a tiny budget with Need to Sell My House Fast. As I mentioned before, I'm only bidding I'm bidding $75 in those 42 counties that I'm in. I'm in a total of 43. In my county where I personally live, I'll bid $175. So total of 43, I bid $75 for everywhere else and $175 where I personally live. In the chat, Pam asked, does LeadZolo have a minimum cost per lead? Yes, is the answer to that question. If you do nationwide, it's $175. And if you choose your markets, it's $200.
Sorry, I'm on their nationwide leads part of their site, and it says now only $150 per lead. Exclusive offer.
That may be one of their starting promos.
Okay,
and I even have one. If anybody wants it, I even have one where it's $75. It's half off for their nationwide program for, I think it's a maximum of 20 leads.
Wow.
I'm fairly confident. So pretty good, but the problem, I guess it's not a problem. It's just maybe a financial hurdle. You have to shell out all the money. You don't like get to pay as the leads come in.
No, you do it up front, right?
You front the money. Yeah,
right.
You front the money. What would be a minimum budget for PPL? I like to draw, I said earlier, like big fuzzy lines between 1,000 as the minimum and 2,500 as the maximum. That's kind of the sweet spot for PPL. And again, they're big fuzzy lines. So depending on external factors, mainly time and constraints of time, some people who are below $1,000, I would recommend that they do PPL over sweat marketing. However, there's other people who have $1,200 or $1,300 that I would prefer they do sweat marketing over PPL. So it does move a little bit, but that's the general $1,000 and $2,500. Anyone have an average cost per lead for PPL? Yes, it depends on the provider. So the minimum that I know of any company is Need to Sell My House Fast, which is $75. And the maximum I know of any company is iSpeedToLead for $500. And so you're going to get everything in the middle. And here's the reality. It's an auction. no matter which one of these PPL providers you go to, it's an auction against all their other clients. And so it's simple economics 101, supply versus demand. If you bid low, you have to wait until supply outpaces demand until you get a lead. If you bid high, then even if the volume of leads is very low, because you're the highest bidder, you're going to get the first one.
Yeah, I don't understand exactly what the question is, Pam. What should be an average cost per lead? Do you mean with PPL?
You can come off mute if you prefer.
Yeah, you're welcome to unmute and ask.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. I wasn't clear. An average cost per deal, maybe using PPL.
Yeah, great question.
Yeah, good. Yep.
I'll
Thank you.
answer extremely candidly. If you're good on the phone, you're going to close 1 in 15. If you suck on the phone, it's going to be 1 in greater than 15. And then just multiply by 15 times however much you're spending on how much you're bidding on your leads. I would venture to say with PPL, a blind squirrel finds the nut and a broken clock is right twice a day. I would venture to say you're not going to exceed probably 40 or 50 leads before somebody darn near gives you the house. They just throw the keys and they say, Pam, if you'll just pay me $1,000, Pam, if you'll just don't even pay me, just make my monthly payment. If you'll just help me move, you can have my house. 1 in 40, 1 in 50 is where I am personally right now. Where I consider it giving me a house. If I spend less than $2,500, that's basically like closing cost, giving somebody $500 or $1,000 at close, right? Even if somebody wants $0, and we do get this, we get people who want $0 to walk away. Just get this burden out of my life. If I have to put in less than $2,500 to buy a house, I consider it somebody giving me a house. This happens once every 40 leads that come into my company. We do it pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Most of us, I would assume most of us are not national. So the lead cost is going to be more than 75 in most cases.
Are you talking
So
PPL
I'm
or
trying to
PPC?
figure out PPL. PPC I've done a lot in the past, and I haven't. I guess it's really is a matter of finding the right manager that will do a good job for you.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I think
have
that you're
wasted
getting it
lot
a
of
little
money.
bit. I think that you may be like crossing your experience with PPC and you're like projecting it onto PPL. So I don't mean to be an ass in correcting you, but I do want to tell you that I believe that you're wrong. And the reason why I say that is because, so here, I live in Brevard County. It's about an hour south of Orlando in Florida. And so in Brevard County, I'm bidding $175. So locally, I'm bidding $175. Whereas in Blount, Tennessee, I'm only bidding $75. And so here's all the places. Don't steal all my spots, please. But in each one of these, I'm just bidding $75. Now, what does this mean though? Again, thinking about supply and demand, I don't get leads very frequently. The only time that I get leads is when the supply outpaces the demand and everybody else that I'm bidding against has run out of money. And I get to come in sneakily and steal a super cheap lead from them. That's what you would have to do unless you want to get very regular leads in your local, whatever county you live in. And it's going to tell you, by the way, Need to Sell My House Fast will tell you where the bell curve is. They will actually tell you if you're the low bid. If you notice here, I'll give you an example. I'll actually maybe even get a lead like live while we're on the call. Let's say Bear, Texas. This is one of my favorite places. Bear, Texas is where San Antonio is. And I'm not pronouncing it wrong. It's not Bexar, okay? It's just they spell it weird. I don't know why. It's Bear County, Texas. Now, right now it says low bid, right? I'm like the lowest of the low. I'm not going to get a lead unless supply outpaces demand. However, as I increase it, I will hit a threshold. Ah, there we go. Tied bid. So the next person who's bidding is bidding $200 per lead. Well, how much? Oh, look at that. $225. Now I'm the top bid. Honestly, this tells me that there's not very many people bidding in San Antonio, Texas. I would pay $225 for a solid lead in Bexar County. So I would encourage you to look up your county and need to sell my house fast and kind of see where you need to be for you to be competitive with the other investors in your area. Does that
Right on.
help,
Great.
Miss Pam?
Hello. Leo.
I was actually just trying to find out what you guys think. I was prefacing it by I'm not national. I am local, so I pay more per lead. So based on that, what should I'm wondering, I've done my KPIs and I'm wondering how I compare cost per deal, I should say, not lead, per deal. You know, what should your cost per deal be when you're using PPL? And
Well-
paying, let's just get an average of $150 a lead.
So this is going to be an opportunity here for me to show off. Okay, are you ready? Just kidding, but not really. Here's my personal KPIs for last week. Okay, so last week you can see up here 324 to 331. I only spent $357. And let's filter by only PPC and PPL. We spent $357 and I got 8 leads last week. And I spent $45 cost per lead. And so Pam, you're going to need to know, for me to actually diagnose for you how much you need to spend per deal, I need to know every single one of these attrition rates in your company. And chances are, I hate to say it, unless you're a client of ours, you're not tracking your KPIs probably to the level that we are. So let me just go through each one of these and I'll explain each one. And then this is something that you absolutely can take home. And we even have a Google sheet. I can give it to you for free if you want. We have a Google sheet that is this. It just doesn't look all sexy. You know, it's a little bit more basic version of this. So I spent $357 and I generated 8 leads. Cost per lead is $45. Of those 8 leads, we connected with 7. Now, what does that mean? The definition of a connection is simply I have a communicative seller, meaning they called me, they texted me, or they emailed me. That is it. It doesn't mean that we actually talked to them on the phone, just means that they called me, texted me, or emailed me. So 88% lead connection rate. Our triage call rate was horrendous. Out of 7 communicative sellers, we only triaged 1. So how do I define a triage? Well, a triage call for me has 6 points. I need to know a little bit of general information about the house, condition of the house, the time frame that they want to sell, how much is their mortgage, if there is a mortgage, how much do they need to walk away, and is creative financing an option? As soon as those 6 bits of information have been collected, we submit, we're taking notes that whole time, we'll submit a triage call. So one of these leads was submitted and it was qualified. Qualified simply means the numbers seem to work. The numbers seem to work. On initial diagnosis, if you will, on that triage call, maybe 20, 25 minutes or so, numbers seem to work. But then I want to see, so I don't do these triage calls, by the way. Our lead manager, Ms. K, takes all the triage calls. I want to see how good is my lead manager doing. So then that comes to me. I'll review that and I will approve or disapprove. I did approve. So she said one was qualified and I said, Ms. K, you rock, spot on. I agree. This is qualified. Then she does her deal analysis. Deal analysis approve means she's done her deal analysis. She finds the ARV. So she pulls comps. She spends about 30 minutes on this. She pulls comps. She goes through that long list of repairs that the seller gave her. She does the repair estimate. She plugs it into the deal analysis, and we determine what is our primary entrance strategy, what is our primary exit strategy, what is our secondary entrance strategy, what is our secondary exit strategy, and a tertiary for both as well. As soon as we're done with the deal analysis, then it gets pushed over to the acquisition manager who does the perfect presentation. Our perfect presentation, you would probably consider it an offer. In my company, we don't give offers. Saying an offer is like saying an F-bomb. You cannot do it. It is a sin. We don't give numbers. Okay? The seller gives a number to us. However, more or less, this is an offer. That's how I want you to think about it. It's the easiest way I can explain it. So out of the one that we did the deal analysis, we also did the perfect presentation, and we got that property under contract. So I spent $357 and I got one contract. Now you ask yourself, is that typical? Well, let's see. Let's go back to the last 30 days. We spent $1,200 and we got two contracts. So no, if we were to look at a last 30-day data set, my cost per contract isn't $350, it's $615. Now, historically, if I were to go back, for instance, last quarter, what are we broken? What's happening here?
Uh-oh. Ryan needs to fix something.
Let's see if I do this. Last quarter, it'll just straight up tell me. My cost per contract last quarter, $1,100. No, that's this quarter. Oh, last quarter. We're in Q2.
Yep.
I'm
We are in
totally not
Q2.
even thinking. What about the quarter, the quarter before that? So we were to go to October 1st through December 31st. My cost per contract was $380. So between Q4 last year, $380, and Q1 this year, $1,100, significant increase in cost per contract. I have a very well-established business with very well-established employees. This is not like,
Not a bunch of noobs.
yeah, I'm thinking of a word in the stock market, which means that things go up and down. Volatility. This sort of
Right.
volatility
There usually isn't, yeah.
we're not used to. And I will
Yeah.
admit, in my business right now, we have a huge, we're literally changing our business model where I've been taking title to gosh darn every freaking property that comes across my desk for the last several years, for the last 3 years. Q1 of this year, I'm switching things up. We're going cash heavy. We are going to get very wealthy, very rich. There's going to be a lot of cash. I'm going to pay a lot of taxes. I know you don't have to beat me up over it. We're wholesaling and novating. We have a minimum threshold for both of these each month that the first two deals have to be wholesaled. The next two deals have to be novated. Anything after that, then Keith gets to choose whatever he wants to do with it. If I can wrap it, I can rent it, I can wholesale it, I can wholetail it, I can retail it, I can whatever the heck. But the first two have to be wholesaled. The next two have to be novated. Again, if possible, right? Some things you can't novate because there's not enough time or the house is in too bad of condition. Anyway, historically, let's look at like all of last year. Cost per contract, all of last year is $478. So to answer your question, I don't know what yours is going to be because I don't know what your attrition rate is across each one of these KPIs. Frankly, most people don't. But I know that if I spend $500, typically, I'm going to get a contract. And out of 3 contracts, I'm going to close on 2 of them, and 1 of them is going to get dropped. That's like my historical averages over the last 4 or 5 years. All right, I've talked a lot. What questions do we have about that?
I was just wanting to ask, what's the difference between your cost per contract and cost per acquisition and cost per deal?
Great question. So it all comes down to the definitions of contract, acquisition, and deal. Cost per contract means, I don't have any purchase and sales agreements on my desk, but it means I got a purchase and sales agreement signed by a seller. It is simply putting a property under contract. Now, cost per acquisition is title. I'm taking title to a house. So does a novation count as an acquisition? No, I was never on title. Does a wholesale count as an acquisition? No, I never took title. If I'm doing a sub 2 wrap, am I on title? Yes. So there are some deals that you do, and a deal means money hits the bank. It doesn't count. I am pretty popular for saying, in not PG rated terms, everyone is full of crap until money hits my bank. Several years ago, I think it was 2018 or so, I had a $126,000 net profit deal coming in. I went and I signed, and I couldn't believe it. The next day, the seller came in and she signed, and I couldn't believe it. How old was I? I was in my young 20s whenever this was. And like, this was more money in one deal that took me almost 2 months to do than I was going to make the entire rest of the year active duty in the Marine Corps. $126,000. $128,000. I don't really know. I get my 6s and my 8s mixed up. It was more than 120K. I signed the following day. She signed. Done deal, right? Did you all know that some states have what's called a 24-hour or a 48-hour curation? Meaning money has to sit in escrow for 48 hours. Then they take the docs down and record it. And it's not actually a done deal until it's recorded. Well, seller decided that she wanted to do a 1031 exchange instead. She had her attorney contact me, threatened to sue me. I'm freaking 20-something years old, scared the crap out of me, and I pulled out of the deal. Total knucklehead, stupid ass decision. You should never do that. I could have fought that and I would have won in court all day long. Thing is, money didn't hit my bank. Everyone's full of crap till money hits your bank. And so that's what I'll say. All right, that was a really bad, sad, long, sad side tangent. So cost per contract. Contract is defined as a purchase and sales agreement. Acquisition is I am on title, and a deal is money hits my bank. That's the difference between cost per this, that, and the other thing.
Cool. Well, I think we are, yeah, thank you for the great questions, Pam and Rochelle and others. And we'd love to answer more questions, but we are at well over an hour now. We want to respect everyone's time. If you do have another question and Keith is willing to answer, you're welcome to stay on and ask. But of course, you don't have to, whatever, you gotta go, you gotta go. If you are a client with us, thank you for being one of our valued clients. We love having you, and I hope this was helpful to you in your business. And if you're not with us yet, then I encourage you to check us out, and we will provide a link to book a strategy session with one of our team members so that you can hear more about what we can offer you as kind of a business partner, in a sense, to provide a bunch of support, tools, connections. We have a PPC company that we work with that is extremely good at real estate investing PPC. And obviously, no one gets everything right all the time, but they have been very consistent. So we encourage you to check that out, and we'll be offering the replay to this as well. So I hope you guys can enjoy that. I'll be sending out an email with that, and yeah, I'm posting it in REI Secrets. All right, thank you very much, everyone. And if you have a question, you can go ahead and ask maybe in the chat, and then Keith, if you've got a few more minutes.
Yeah, I have it. You don't have to put it in the chat if you want to just come up mute. This will be kind of the end here of our recording that we'll be sharing. You can ask any question. It's not going to go out in the replay, and they don't get to hear the answer to it because they didn't show up live.
I got a quick one, Keith. So I
Yes,
see
sir.
on like Facebook, you have these people that, I don't know if they're PPL or what they are. It's more like, we'll give you a lead, and you don't have to pay us until you close the deal type things.
Yeah.
Where does that fall into all of
Go
this?
check out the FTC lawsuit that just came out 3 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't even clicked any of their stuff. I just seen them around, and I'm just like, I find it interesting.
here's my thought process. I've seen a lot of these people come and go the last 8 years, and no one has made a good name for themselves. They'll come, they'll be at one of these events that I'm at. Their CEO or whatever will be at a mastermind that I'm in. Y'all know that I'm in a freaking crap ton of programs. So I see these people, but they don't last, and they don't make a good name for themselves. Actually, like, I'm not going to, but I can name 3 people that no longer live in this country because they're like, no, they're blacklisted. Like, nobody will do deals with these people. They're out of real estate.
Hey, John, I checked them out. This is Ira.
Yeah. What's your experience, dude?
From the ones that I've spoken with, they just take a lot, like over half maybe of the deal once it's closed.
That's ridiculous.
There's no risk to you until you do the deal. And then there's still no risk to you. It's a done deal. But yeah, you have to split your profits. And here's another thing that I really don't like about it, because people ask me personally. They ask me, or our salesman in REI Automated, well, can't you just do some sort of thing where we like JV on the deal? Like just mentor me for free. And my answer to that, as respectfully as I can, I say, I run a 7-figure flipping business. And if I spend an hour with you, that's literally thousands, if not even $10,000 that I could have made investing in my own team. That's going to make me money that I profit 100% on. Right? I will make far more money in Crown Properties than I ever will. Ryan makes more money than I do in REI Automated. Like, I don't make very much money. Sometimes I don't make any
Because
money.
I do all the hard work.
Crown Properties is that's my money. That's my bread and butter, right? And so I say, no, I'm not willing to do that. Maybe another person is, and God bless them for being willing to do that. Just in my season of life, I'm not willing to invest in somebody who's not willing to invest in themselves. And I wouldn't ask that of somebody else personally. I wouldn't ask that of somebody else. I want to vibe with the people that I work with. I want to enjoy the people that are in REI Automated, and building a community that's very cohesive is super important to me. Because how we spend our time is our life. How we spend our time is how we spend our life. And I want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy the people that I work with. And so bringing in somebody who has like pretty vastly different values than me, I don't like. So the reason why I say this is because if they're willing to do that, if they're willing to take somebody on for free, are they going to give their all, knowing that you could just squander their time away, not produce any results that they're ever going to split a deal on? They will never fully commit. In my opinion, they will never fully commit. They can't. Because how many people are going to squander their time away, not do a deal, and they never get paid? Unless they're offering if they're a not-for-profit organization, then fine. But they're not. They're a for-profit corporation.
Fascinating stuff. And yeah, it's always kind of, you see something like that and it does look a little bit sketchy, right? Like, how far can I trust what these people are doing? And so it's good to hear some other people's experiences. And in the Facebook group in REI Secrets, or in the clients group, we would love to have everyone, if you do have experience with different PPL providers, to share some of your experiences, what's worked and what hasn't. Because Keith is just one real estate investor, and if we kind of work together as a community, then we certainly can provide great information for each other. We have one of our clients has bought leads from LeadZolo and had some success and gotten some contracts from them. We don't know exactly, obviously, how far we can trust them, but it seems like they're legit and they do a good job. And then the Need to Sell My House Fast is one that, Keith, you've been using and spent already thousands of dollars. And we have other clients as well. And Keith knows people who use that regularly. So it's those two we feel fairly confident to say they are worth trying. And you could do that locally. and you could, and low bid, Pam, you know, you could do need to sell my house fast locally within your state and bid 75 per lead. Now, are you going to get a lot of leads? Probably not. So is that your only source of leads? Maybe that's not a good idea, but it could be one source of leads that you could get some good leads from. And you could supplement that with other marketing channels like the sweat marketing. And I need to prep that replay. But anyone who wants that, you're welcome to it, especially if you're a client, you will definitely give that to you. But Keith really went into all the details of how he does a kind of sweat marketing where you can actually get someone else to do it for you. And you'll get about 1 to 2 calls per sign, the bandit signs. And he basically laid out the whole plan, how to do it right in the training, and showed the signs. And we really went in depth on that. So we'll be sharing that with you very soon if you are one of our clients. And if you're not, go attend one of our calls and then ask about it, and we'll send you the link. That's my ethical bribe. Go get on a call, and after you do, then we'll share that with you free. And it's very valuable if you think about it, because it's something that you can do locally. You can scale it nationwide with the way that Keith explains, which is really interesting, and I think can be an effective alternate marketing channel that you can use to protect your business. Because ultimately, in order to have a successful business, you have to have leads, right? Everyone understands that. That's why everyone's like, we want to hear about marketing. And we understand. So we want to provide as many options to you that we know and trust, that we know they work and we trust them. And we don't want to recommend stuff that doesn't work. And if you have a specific question about a certain service, please ask in the group, either RAI Secrets or our clients group. In some cases, we won't comment publicly, but we'll send you a DM about that because we don't want to necessarily trash talk other people's businesses. But we will share personal experience about that. So great. And if anyone has another question, you're welcome to ask. But we probably will be wrapping this up in the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Yoko, Clay, Ira, Gerard, you guys got anything? I posted it. Hey, y'all should check out my Texas deal. A friend literally just messaged me on Facebook. He said, when the deal is so good, even my dad shares the post. His dad's not even in real estate. His dad shared the deal. That's great.
I saw that one. That's too
Good. We've got a couple.
I have a quick question for Keith.
Yes, sir.
So looking at your analytics that you were showing, why aren't you pushing a little harder on the PPC campaigns? Seems like you're spending such a little amount of money.
Yeah, there's 2 reasons. One of them is personal and one of them is logistic. I'll go over the logistic one first. The logistic one is my lead manager is sort of like an adoptive grandma to me. Her name is Miss K. She's 72 years old. She's retired. I retired her a couple years ago. She really enjoys talking with people, and she is like a ninja. Thanks, Rochelle. Have a good night. She's a ninja on the phone. Nobody would ever suspect this woman to be negotiating like she does. She does wonderful, but here's the thing. She doesn't want to work more than 4 or 5 hours a day. And so if I were to increase my ad spend greater than what she's able to do, I would need to expand. And I have enough. Now we're going to blend this into reason number 2, which is I believe very much that there is way more to life than just making money. And I want to have a life, and I want to enjoy my life, and I want to have a purpose and a passion and a reason for living other than just working and making money. And managing people is not something that I particularly enjoy. Frankly, I don't think anybody does. When you're managing 2 businesses, there's a lot of moving pieces, and adding people adds complexity. That's just the truth, right? Adding people adds complexity. So if I were to do that, I'm going to stress out Miss K, and I'm going to have to stress myself out, and I want to enjoy my life. I travel about once a month with my family, typically for about a week or 10 days or so. And I'm in a season of life where I want to do that. I want to go to martial arts with my daughter. I want to go to my son's baseball games. I'm in a fitness recovery. I just had surgery. You don't know this, but I have my stupid sling here. I'm taking a little rest from it. And I'm getting back into my fitness journey. So spending a couple hours walking, working out, going to physical therapy. Those are the things that, like, honest to God, that's the true transparent reason why I don't spend more money. Because you're absolutely right. We turned $19,000 into 1.2 million.
Not bad.
That's nobody has that.
Yeah.
That I know of. Nobody can touch my numbers. If I were to spend more money, bro, we would just be drowning. It would be November and December of last year were potentially some of my most stressful months that I've ever had. And I've had a super rough childhood, former Marine. Like, I am not like mentally weak, but we had 22 to 24 projects going on in any given month. And I hated my life. It was miserable. It was stressful. I was involved in lawsuits, contractors, fires at my houses, squatters, lawyers, attorney generals. Let's just do 6 a month. Yeah, maybe. I think right now we have 8. Like, we've toned it down quite a bit.
And that's that number that you were saying, is that mixed equity and cash, or?
Yeah, it is.
And you're mainly doing flips, is what you were saying?
With the last 3, since 2020, we've taken title to darn near everything. Like, we would maybe wholesale like less than 5% of our deals. And we had 3 main exit strategies: wholesale, retail, and wrap.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Cool. Any other questions? You got 5 seconds, or hold your peace. All right, great. Hey, thanks for coming, guys. We appreciate your attendance. We appreciate your smiling faces with your videos on. It's great. I enjoy evenings like this.
Yeah, you have a great night, everyone. Thank you very much for coming.
Talk to you soon. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.